Absolutely, we are good to go. So, welcome back to the ToolJet community call. Thank you so much for joining us today. And once again, welcome. A ToolJet community call is again a monthly connect with where we get a chance to learn and communicate, as a two-way channel, right from the ToolJet and also to the community who are building applications with ToolJet, all of it. And we are super grateful and excited to host you on the November community call happening on December 9th. Yes, we are aware that we missed you on the last Wednesday of the November. But again, so we have got you something big this time. So Shubham will be walking us through with some of the news and updates and the product releases and all of that. And I am super excited to actually look at what we all have for us today. And yes, as I said, we will quickly start by handing it off to Shubham, who will walk us through the releases, updates, and what we all have coming ahead. Over to you, Shubham.
Hey, thanks, Teja. Thanks a lot. Welcome everyone to the November community call. As Teja said, we were not able to hold our community call in November this time because the whole team was busy in a meetup. We all, since we are a remote company, we are located in different parts of India. So we all flew to a same place, a hill station, beautiful hill station near Bangalore, and we had a great time meeting up, catching up, working with each other, and doing lots of work and fun. So yeah, right now we'll kickstart with the call. And Teja, okay, I'll share my screen. Okay. Cool. Teja, my screen is okay?
Yes, we are good to go.
Cool, cool. So quickly going through the agenda. So we will, as usual, go to the product updates first and see what we released recently and what we are going to release up next. Then we will have a demo with Teja on a new app which we are building called Beta Program Manager app. And then we'll open the floor for some question and answers which you might guys have on product or company, on ToolJet, or anything in general, right? Okay. So first thing first, new releases. So what we have recently released is, first thing is version exports. So right from now onwards, while you are exporting any app in ToolJet, you can select which versions you want to export. This happened because a lot of users complained that when they make their apps very big, they have like hundreds of versions in the app, and then they try to export the app. It becomes really, really problematic. And like people don't want to see the old versions in the new imported file as well. So here we are giving an option to users to kind of select which versions they want to export. Second is support for S3 like object storage services. So till now we used to support Amazon S3 first in our integrations. So you can fetch objects from Amazon S3, you can put objects in Amazon S3. But we also now support all the storage services which follows Amazon S3 protocol, which means that a lot of companies like DigitalOcean, Wasabi use the same protocol as Amazon S3. So now you can connect to these services directly using Amazon S3 plugin only from ToolJet. You just have to give the host name, which you can get from the service provider, or you can host your own Amazon S3 like service yourself on your own server or on your local machine, and we can get it hooked with ToolJet pretty quick. Then we also released a plugin for Amazon SES. Next is Python support. So this is something really cool which we shipped last month. And so it basically means like whenever you are transforming your queries, earlier we used to support only JavaScript as a language which you can use to transform these queries. But we got a lot of requests from our community members where a lot of data analysts or data scientists who are well versed with Python and want to play with data fetched from query using Python wanted to use Python as a language rather than JavaScript, because Python supports a lot of stuff for data analysts, right? So yeah, that's there. We have added the support. Then coming was next was MariaDB plugin, which we also released, and then finally Zendesk integration, where you can now fetch data from Zendesk. Zendesk is basically a popular customer support help desk software where large companies use it to manage their relationship with their customers. It's basically a ticketing chat software where users where the companies connect with their customers, right? So you can use integration to fetch data from Zendesk. It can be useful in building a customer 360-degree kind of an app where you can visualize data from Zendesk, see what all tickets have been created by a lot of your users, by various users, run any kind of analysis, do any kind of dashboarding on it using that, right? So these are some cool features which we have released in last couple of weeks, and these are the new things which we are building immediately, which will be available probably next week, late next week. So first is Query Builder revamp. So lately we have been facing a lot of challenges in Query Builder, where we have been receiving a lot of complaints from community members that the query creation of query process of query creation is a bit difficult. Sometimes people lose queries because of some weird bugs we were getting. So we have done quite a good revamp in terms of architecture. We have done a basic revamp in terms of UI as well, and overall this should solve a lot of problems, almost all the problems which community members have been facing in terms of developer experience. So developers who are writing queries in this will not complain anymore. It is going to be a much smoother experience from now onwards. Second is RunPy. So as I mentioned in the last slide, we released transformations. In transformations, we are supporting Python now. So next is the next logical thing for us was to give a query support in Python also, just like run.js, where you can write your own JavaScript scripts and call it and link it from any part of the application. Similarly, you can write Python scripts and you can link it with various queries as a as a post operation, or as anything. You can build any custom code using Python. Then third is more of an administrative use case, where some customers require bulk upload of users. So some companies have a lot of users who are using ToolJet in a single instance, like hundreds and approximately 500 users. So they don't want to create users manually one by one. So if we have a bulk upload users, you can just create a CSV, export it from your Google Workspace account or your any other like identity management solution, and can just upload it here in ToolJet, and it will sort of simply work out of the box. Cool. So this is something which we are building right now and shall be available very quickly next week for all of you to try out. Please go ahead, try it out, and see, and please share your feedbacks. Next, as we had mentioned a couple of hours back in a tweet and everywhere, that we are going to bring some cool announcements, some special announcement for all our community users. So yeah, time for that. Okay, so what it could be? Okay, there is suspense. 3, 2, 1. Oh, more suspense. Okay, cool. So ToolJet V 2.0. So yes, we are finally coming up with a very, very upgraded version of ToolJet with lots of features and interesting functionalities, which will help our developers create applications even faster than we are able to do. Right now, ToolJet developers are creating many awesome applications built for internal use cases. But we are obviously not going to stop here. We are going to further improve that developer experience, bring lot more functionalities, bring lot more new products. And that new product we are calling version 2.0, which is going to launch in January 2023. That is going to be a New Year surprise for everyone, New Year gift for every of the ToolJet developers, because it is looking really, really neat. I got some sneak peeks today as well, and every week I see the progress on the product, and it looks amazing. I am sure every one of the community developers will love it. And you also can get a sneak peek of all this in the beta launch. We are doing a beta launch on 15 December where any one of you can come in and use that beta product, see what is in it. And obviously, in beta launch, please do not use it for production purposes. It is just for community members to take a sneak peek, try it out, share your feedback to us so that we can improve and help us hash out some early bugs, right? So that beta launch is happening on 15 December. We'll share out the details on our Twitter channel and Slack very shortly on how you can access that beta program, how you can sort of access this V2 version and test it out, right? Some of the highlights, some of the features which we are releasing is as first is multi-page applications. One of the biggest requested product features on ToolJet in last 1 year is multi-page applications. Right now, you can create single-page applications. Only one page is available in every app, but now you can create a full-fledged dashboard with multiple pages and a navigation system to kind of make it look like a proper dashboard or a proper tool or a website to kind of fit your use case. Then second is form component. A lot of users requested it. Right now, anybody can still build forms, but it is a bit of cumbersome process. It might take you still an hour or 2 hours to kind of build a form component, a form, because you have to do multiple sort of validations. You have to sort of rig the form together and then create a submit request. It takes a while to kind of get your head around it. But with form component, it will be a work of a snip of a button, just like Google Form, the way you just create a Google Form by the input fields, and then it just simply works, right? This is going to be very, very interesting feature product, which I'm sure everyone will love. Then we have two super awesome products which we are still not going to sort of divulge what these products are. Only thing I would say, one is going to be really helpful in developer experience. Developers day-to-day life would be really easy after that. And the other is in terms of product as a functionality, it will make it will sort of add a lot of color to ToolJet product. It will sort of enhance what you can build using ToolJet, right? It will sort of add a lot of value. And we are doing a lot of things to improve developer experience. So right now, developers, we have been talking to a lot of developers who are building on ToolJet apps, and we are sort of trying to understand what they are facing problems with. And so we have done a lot of work in improving that experience, whether it is as we talked about query manager, whether it is in inspector, debugger, drag and drop functionality, overall responsiveness of the product, overall look and feel of the dashboard product, overall UX of the product. So we have done a lot of small, big changes there. So it is going to be really, really interesting to see all of you adopt to this new feature. Yeah, and multiple small and big features fixes we have been doing over past couple of months, and some really and a lot of new features would be added as well, right? So this is what we are pretty excited at ToolJet to be giving this product in all of your hands to see how you feel about it and see your reaction on it. So requesting all of you who are present on the call, and requesting everyone who was watching the video later on YouTube or on our Slack, please do try out beta launch once it's out there, and share your feedback so that when we are doing a full-fledged launch in January, it is much more polished and adopted product, right? Cool. So this is pretty interesting and really looking forward to it. Thank you. And if you guys have any questions related to it, please post in chat. Would be happy to answer at the end after Teja's talk, right? Cool. Over to you, Teja.
Awesome. Okay, are you able to stop the screen share?
Yes, I'm trying. Yes.
Oh, all right. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Shubham. So with that being said, maybe in the December community call, we would be probably looking at beta launch for the version 2.0. And I think we would be more able to retrospect and talk different things about how the launch has gone and also the beta program and what all things are coming ahead along with that. So thank you, Shubham, and thank you so much for being here. All right. So here is what we are going to quickly jump into. So the whole thing, and as you all know about the title of this community call, is all about building a beta program manager. In a coincidental way, we are also going beta this time, but it's not planned yet. So we did not plan to have a ToolJet beta program manager and launch a beta of ToolJet version 2, but it happened. Maybe we can use the same tool for managing the beta program as well. But this
Maybe
is
we did
really
too,
good.
Teja.
Sorry.
Maybe we did plan.
Is it so? How am I not known about this? PMs. Yeah. All right. Okay. So as we jump into the demo part on building the beta program manager, what you will be learning, and also all of us jumping into hands of building this application in hands. So first and foremost, we are going to use the PostgreSQL integration and how we can actually use it in terms of fetching and populating the components with the data from different tables of the PostgreSQL database. And then we'll also look into the part of the most important, also really my favorite part of what we call the implementation of the bulk update with ToolJet documentation with the documentation references. So we'll see how we can actually perform the bulk update from the table, and then see how that actually helps a lot in terms of making requests and updating the databases right from the table itself. And then there we go. We'll be using run.js to write a specific query, and we'll get to learn more about that. But I'm just giving you a heads up what we'll be going through over the time as we move on. Right. So then at the as we jump on, but this is not the end, but ClickUp integration with REST APIs is something we'll be doing today, where we'll have a lot of issues to share. And then we connect with the ClickUp APIs and actually move some data from ToolJet and to the ClickUp or any project management tool that you're using. Right. So then we look at what are the data sources we'll be using. Of course, the PostgreSQL, and then what components we'll be jumping into is actually, of course, table and a list view, and then text. So believe it or not, we are going to use nothing beyond this table, list view, and text, and we are going to build the really kind of a crucial tool, at least for me, about managing beta program manager is all with the possible with these three components with some data sources and some queries. So let's quickly jump in. But before that, one other thing, I'm going to give a huge spoiler. Let's get into and see how the application actually looks like. So this is how the app would look like. As you have just seen, it has a dashboard which shows the number of signups with the beta program, and then the number of approved signups, and the number of crashes that has occurred to the beta users. As you all know, right, when people start using the beta program as a software, they would be usually getting into different crashes, errors, issues, and all of that. So imagine that you had a system to actually store all of that user data and align the crashes with that. So we will be able to look at the number of crashes that has come in, and then the number of signups which are in waiting list, just like that. And then we all know, right, when people jump in, now we start a beta launch. Imagine it's a limited period of beta launch and we close the signups or registration with the beta launch. We all know people come back and say, I still want to give it a try. And then the beta program is over. But PMs or the beta program managers who usually wanted to send a personal invite to a specific person, just like that, so that they can use this place to actually add a new user to the program. And here we have a place to see how highly occurred crashes for just a for just quick glimpse, and we call this as a dashboard. So it just gives us some numbers, an idea about where we are going, and what are all the good numbers and what's coming ahead. So that's all pretty much about this part. And then we have a manager here, if you look at this. And once we jump into this part, this is where we will have all these signups. And then you see we have a statuses here. We would be able to see who are approved and who are in the waiting list. And you can also click on that and you get a drop down. You can reject them right from here, or you can put them into the waiting list, or you can approve them directly. So this is the ToolJet table that you are actually fetching the data from Postgres and then presenting it here, and then you actually perform changes right from the status column itself. So on click of the specific sign up, and then we know they would be having a certain number of crashes that they have been going through, and all of this this is from a different source. Again, the signups is from a different source. So then you have all the crashes that this specific user have been facing, and then you would also see, right, maybe if you happen to have this beta program, as Shubham was mentioning, give us the feedbacks, let us know how it all working, and let us, feel free to suggest what can be improved and all of that. So of course, program managers would really enjoy having the feedbacks and suggestions and crashes with the users in a single place, in just one application right from here, right? So that is the thing what we want to achieve with this. On click of a specific person, you should be able to see the crashes, what they have been going through, and then if they had any feedback for us and what we can learn from them. So this is the manager part, where you should be able to manage signups and change the statuses, and also look into the crashes of their usage, and also their feedback and suggestions and what can be improved, of course. So, and the other tab, we'll be looking into the crashes. So crashes is all of the crashes irrespective to the user. Previously, this was specific to a specific user. But if you get into the crashes, this is in general, it is going to be all the crashes will be listed here. And of course, I kept it very limited to 3 so that it will be easy to show data and also navigate from one to another. Right. So then the one interesting part of it, as I was talking about the ClickUp, this is where you would be able to see the crashes that has been occurred to the users, and then you see the number of occurrences that has been happening over the time. Now imagine a PM or a product manager using this, and probably he would be wanting to move this issue or a crash to the engineering teams via the project management tool. Maybe it's Jira or Asana or anything, right? It can be a lot of different tools, but for us, we are just sticking with we are sticking with ClickUp. It has been a little familiarity with this and easy to explain to you folks how to use it and how to quickly set that things up. So on click of this create ticket, we will duplicate or copy this data and move it to the project management board into the ClickUp. Right, so that now engineers can actually look at their backlog and start working on fixing this. Maybe it's a hot fix or the version release or any of them by chance, right? So this is the third tab, which is going to be the crashes. And then we have another one, which is feedback. So this is going to be in general again, as how we have in the manager, it's specific to the user. Now it's going to be in general and all of it in a single place where we can able to see and retrospect and maybe able to make any changes or decisions right from here. Awesome. So I hope you're clear what we are bringing and what we are going to build in terms of having a beta test management. Of course, in a beta test manager, there is a lot we can do, but I hope building this in this community call probably enable all of us here or who are watching at any time to make them possible into any different features that they want to build on top of this or by their own version itself. So I'm pretty happy, and also I'm pretty excited to actually walk you through on how we could build this. But again, as you now know what we're going to build, let us also quickly jump into how the schema and what are the tables and how this all have been set up in the backend. So if we if I just take you around into the Postico, the client PostgreSQL client that I'm using, we have a couple of tables, but we'll be only looking at a few. One is, of course, users. If you'll be able to see the users, this is where we have all the users who are signed up for the beta program will be listed here or stored here. So again, we are making an assumption. We are putting everything in a Postgres, but you can, it's very much known. And of course, that the data is not at a single place. It can be scattered into different data sources. So it can be gathered, but it's not a big deal, or it might be not much harder if you get to know how we get this from a single source like Postgres. So users here, and then if you look at the other one, we have in the manager, we have users, and then we have crashes. So this is going to be the crash master. So in crash masters, this is going to be specific to what crash, and it has a specific ID to it. And then the crash logs as a different table. And in the crash logs, this is where we'll be logging the crashes whoever has occurred with a crash ID. So if you remember, the crash master has IDs along, with respective to the crashes. And in the logs, we'll be logging which user with their ID and what crash they have got with their ID again. So crash logs are having user IDs and the crash IDs along with them, and just presenting the whole logs, right? You can see they are repeated because these are logs, and we can be looking at how many times they also happen to. Right. So then this is the crash master and this is the crash logs. And then the other one you have noticed is the feedbacks. So if you just get into feedbacks, we use the lorem ipsum a filler text here, but I hope you would be able to relate a title and a description and a lot more that you can add to feedbacks. But this is all dummy data, and we are using for building this at this point of time. All right. So I hope you're clear. What are the databases that we are using? So if you look at, we have crash logs, and then there is user ID. We need to make some inner joins with the users, and then we use this ID as a key and then go across and fetch things on top of that. So yes, we will be looking into how we can write some SQL queries with inner joins and some filters and all of that. So we'll be having some time doing all of this and fetching and populating the data right in the ToolJet. Right. And there you go. You can, if you are happy and ready to actually start building with me, you're absolutely welcome. You can just directly get into tooljet.com, and then just get into the welcome screen or the home screen here. You can directly click on create a new application, and you know what you do. Right. So awesome. Let's go ahead and now start with building this application right from the scratch. So we'll use this as an inspiration here. We have 4 tabs, which is dashboard, manager, crashes, and feedback. So first and foremost thing, we'd be needing the tabs. So how do you do that? You can just go ahead and search for the component. It's already here. You can drag and drop it to here and then expand it a bit to the down. And then you know that we have 4 tabs. Let us rename it. You can click on the tabs, and then you have the properties here. Let's change it to first as a dashboard. And then the second is manager, the crashes. And then the last one, what we have here is feedback. Right, there you go. So I hope you will be able to relate how we have got this. So this is just a JSON data that we have added into the properties tab of this tabs component, and we have all the 4 tabs ready. And I can actually remove this, which we would not be using anymore. In the dashboard, this is all, the dashboard is more about sharing the numbers and giving a quick glance about all the things happening inside manager, crashes, and feedback. So let's get into the manager part and actually start building the manager as a first place. So if you see manager, you should be able to see there is a section for signups to listing all the signups. And then there is a section for crashes where it shows all the crashes and the feedbacks, of course. So on specific person or a sign up click, it shows the respective data from the different sources. There you go. Let's quickly build this up. And how do you do that? You just get into, again, the component manager, search for a table. You should be able to bring it on by dragging and dropping and just put it over there. Adjust it a bit so that we should be able to accommodate 2 other tables in the same page so that we can do it right away. And here you would need a text which says these are actually signups. Okay, so we will start building this first with the front end part, and then we'll quickly jump into the back end part of it, of course. So you can change the style of it. Maybe I'll make it lighter and make it the text size to something around 22. I hope that would be not so big. Okay, this is fine. And you can make it more clear if you would like to. You can change it to borderless. I usually go for classic. And yeah, there you go. And then you can have the border radius. I usually use for 8, but it's up to you. You can go for what feels you good. Okay, so then first table is good. And then we would need another table for the crashes. Again, I'm going to drag and drop, or you can actually copy paste this. It's up to you. I'm just doing it so that you understand. If any of you have not used tables before, now you should be able to understand how you actually use it by just dragging and dropping. There you go. So now you can use the same component, but just copy paste, Control C, Command V, sorry, Control C or Control V or Command. So now this is going to be crashes. Okay. So then again, copy paste the same table, and I'm putting it down, and we would be needing another text labeling the table, which is going to be feedbacks and suggestions. All right, so there you go. So you have all of this here in a single page. The front end, we are almost close, but don't look at the aesthetics parts of this. We will just get into the functionality in the first place and look into the aesthetics on how we could improve much better. But yes, as you know, you can, it's all about the matter of time and efforts to make it look good and stylish. But for us, I think we are good with this amount of time that we can put in terms of making it a really good look in terms of aesthetics. But again, there you go. We are actually close with the, the front end part of the manager section. We have signups, crashes, and the feedback. So here is how we build that. So just by dragging and dropping the things right over here. Okay. So now the next step is to actually populate this table with the real information that we get from the PostgreSQL. So if you see users database, there is the data. We want to bring it and populate it here, right? How do you do that? And that is why we use the the query panel by just adding a data source to it. So before you jump and use it, we have to create a query. And then to do a query, we would need to add a data source. So go ahead, you can click on this button saying add data source. And of course, you have a different level of options. For us, we are using PostgreSQL, but if you happen to use any of this, you can easily go ahead and jump and straight away use it. If you do not, you can also use the REST APIs that you have here. If your sources supports them, you can just get in using that with the endpoints that the product offers. Click on the PostgreSQL for us for now. And then I'm going to quickly fill this up with the details, have that in a different screen. So this is going to be, we are using Elephant SQL to just present at this moment. So you should be expecting a few delays in terms of sharing the data and getting it to the ToolJet. So, but it shouldn't be much delayed. By the time I use the password, I think it should be able to fetch us what we all have in the database. Okay, so you can, we are good. We have the host, port, database name, username, and password. This is all up to you. And then we can quickly make a connection check. It should be green and connection verified. So we are good to go. The data source is added. Now ToolJet is connected to the PostgreSQL, where you should be able to perform queries and then able to fetch the data from the databases. Click on save. And then now once it's done, you should be able to see the query panel gets updated with a new data source, which is PostgreSQL. Right, click on that. And what we would be needing here is to fetch the signups data and populate on this table. So how do you do that? As now we click on the PostgreSQL, go ahead and SQL mode. And then we can actually set this to something like, we use this styling of manager. Let's go ahead and say manager-users. Okay, so this is the name of this query. And then how do you get this here? We are going to select everything from the table users, and we could put something like an order by in terms of name, which is ascending. Okay, so you can, what I'm doing here, I'm trying to get all the users from the users table by making an order in ascending order, right? So you can quickly preview this, and you should be able to see the data coming up here, which are actually four items or four objects in ascending order. Okay, so I can create this and then keep it aside, and then I shall need to run this on page load. So I would be turning on this, run this query on page load. So here I am with the data, with the query added. Now the thing what I would need to is to populate this table with the query's data coming from the Postgres. So click on this table, which is table 2, get into the properties section and remove this dummy data, and then use this narration, say queries dot manager underscore users dot data. Okay, so now if I run this again here, it should be able to populate the data coming up here. All right, there you go. So we have got the data, and let me quickly rearrange these few things so that it will be easy for us to navigate. So first thing first, we would need the status in the first place. You can drag it to the top. And then the other interesting thing for us is the name, and then it should be email address, and then it should be the organization. Okay, so there you go. So we have the ID and also the date when it was created. Okay, so I hope you remember that we have done one thing. We added an ability to this table to actually change the statuses of the waiting list or approved or any of this, to just change and then make the query happen in the backend as well. So how do you do that? We are going to change the type of the status column here. You can click on the status and then get into the column type. The column type is going to be a drop down, where in which you have the options to have fill the options that you wish to. So for now, we are going to have this as three options. One is approved, another is going to be rejected. Okay, another thing we're going to have waiting list. Okay, so this is how we are going to put it. So we have three options. One is approved, rejected, and waiting list. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and put the labels as well to the same values. And then once I have done that, you should be able to see the statuses will be toggled up here to change this options. Okay, you should be able to turn on this option, which is make editable, so that now you have the privilege or even the choice or the ways to actually edit this. Okay, so now I'm being able to edit this yellow marking or the highlight section is communicating that these columns are changed, or these placeholders of this column has been updated. So now you have these things changed with yellow mark. But now if you happen to see, you have a option to save changes, but if you click on that, nothing happens. You know these things will it's not getting changed. So this thing we need to figure out by just doing getting into the documentation and see how we can actually perform the bulk update. On click, we change any of this to a certain value, and on click save changes, it should actually reflect on this database directly. Okay, so how do we do that? This is something we call as bulk update. You can actually get into the documentation, the docs ToolJet.com, and then once you are in the documentation, you can actually search for bulk update. Okay, so here it is, and once you can directly get into bulk update multiple rows in the table. As now we are here, you should be able to follow this directly on how you can actually perform the bulk update. So this, we have done this. Actually, you should be able to relate to what we have done. We made the column to be editable, and then we said show bulk update actions, but I think it's by default it's turned on. But let me quickly check once again, making sure that it is turned on. So where I was building this is here. So if I get into this specific section of the status, okay, so here you see show bulk update actions is already turned on. Okay, so once now you get back to the documentation, so this is where we would be needed to create a custom JavaScript query that actually builds a SQL query for us, and also gets the query ready, so that in the next step we'll be able to run this. How do you do that? I'm just going to copy this custom JavaScript query. How we are going to add this is going to by clicking this plus icon, add new query, and we're going to choose run JavaScript code, and then we can name this as bulk update. Okay, now so this is and it takes the values of the component. How do you get to know what are the columns or the values of the records has been changed? You can actually go to the inspector and see the components, and if you're able to notice, this component is table 2. Okay, so actually put all things to waiting list. Okay, I'm not sure how many are in waiting list, but I'm just making a change where every item here is in the waiting list. Okay, so now if you get into inspector and go to the column and table 2, you should be able to see here a change set. So as you expand this, this will help us to understand what are the things that are changed. So for the change set, here the object, there's a change in the status, that the status is waiting list now. And then in the one, another change, and two, it's a similar change across because we had kept everything in the waiting list. Okay. So this is how the custom JavaScript query is going to get the data on what are the things that has been changed and have a track of it. So, but this documentation had table 1 by their choice, but in our case, it's table 2 here. Let us update quickly to table 2 and rename the table 1 to table 2. So as you just see, it is returning a query for us, which is going to a SQL query that helps us updating the things, what has been changed on this table. Okay, let me create this. And then there is another thing to follow in the documentation. If you get into the documentation, okay, what did just happen? There you go. So you have the another step, create an update query. So this is going to get the text which is returning by this run.js1, and then we add a quotes at the end. So we would need another query, which is a SQL one, and then we get the data from the run.js. So click on the plus and then PostgreSQL, and then change it to SQL mode and paste it. Okay, so in our case, it's again not run.js1, but instead it is going to be bulk update. Okay, data.js, right, there you go. So you can name this to something like update for now. So you can make it create. So then after running this query, we are going to run this along. So how do you do that? So what we are trying to do, once the moment the bulk update is executed, we want to execute another query, which is update automatically. So how do you do that? You get into bulk update and go to the advanced section, and here you have events to add. You can click an event on this specific query's success, which is bulk update. On successful of this query, we're going to run another query by changing the actions to run query, and we're going to select the query is to update. So what it means, while we run bulk update, if it is successful, we're going to run another query, which is which is update. Okay, so this is how the process, first this executes and then this gets executed. So now when this should get executed, which is the bulk update, on click of save changes, right? I hope you should be able to relate by this time. So the moment I click on save changes with the changes, the bulk update should run. And automatically when the bulk update gets succeeded, the update will get executed, right? So now how do you attach or connect this save changes button to this bulk update? It's very simple. You just click on this component and then go to the properties tab. There you go. And then you should be able to add events here on the drop down, and then click on add event listener. And then what you're going to choose, the event is going to be save changes event. Okay, so in the save changes event, you should be able to run a query, and you know what it is. It's going to be bulk update. Okay, so this is how the process. We make the changes here and we click on the save changes, and that executes the query bulk update. On successful of this bulk update, the update gets executed automatically. Okay, so that's how the whole chain is here. Let us give a quick try, but for that, okay, let's see where we are at this point of time in the database. If you see all of this, one is in waiting list, approved, waiting list, and approved. Okay, 2 waiting lists and 2 approved. Here, what we are trying, all of this are in waiting list. So let us try by clicking on the save changes. It says bulk update is completed, and then it says the update SQL query is also completed. Let's get into the Postgres client and see if it is updated. Let me make a quick refresh. Yes, there you go. So the data is updated here. You should be able to see the status waiting list to all of them. So now if I have to change Henry to approved and then make save changes. Okay, so now I think if I make a request, look at Henry here, it's waiting list, and the moment I make a refresh, it should be approved. There you go. Okay, so this is the whole process. Now we are done with the signups part, where you should be able to change the statuses of the signups for the beta program. And now we are going to get the crashes. crash reports of this specific Henry or Daniel or Jasim, whoever it is. So now the first thing, let us actually get the data. How do you get that? Again, a SQL query. So let's go ahead, click on the plus icon, and then go Postgres SQL and SQL mode. And then we are going to get the data from the crashes table. So within the time sensitive time, I'm going to use a superpower to paste it here. Okay, so we are going to name this again with respective to the tab manager and the section. So this is manager hyphen crashes. Okay, so I'm going to save this, create this at this moment, and I'll just quickly walk you through what we are writing and getting. So first we are trying to get the name, email, status of the user from the user database, and also the created date of the crash list logs, and then the crash manager, sorry, crash master, we're going to get by making a inner join on a condition where the user ID matches with the uh, crash logs ID as well. So again, we make an inner join with a on top of the crash master, right? So with again we have another condition with ID is equals to the ID of the user to the crash ID, and then we see a specific selection on click of the specific Henry. We should be able to access the ID of this column by using the components by using these notations where we would be able to access the components dot table 2. Yes, I think it is table 2. Yeah, it is correct. And then we get into the selected row and then we get the ID of it, right? So let me save this here and then actually get into the table 2, and I'll turn on an option that actually helps us to see if it is selected. So highlight selected row. This option will help us to see what are selected and what are not. So this makes a huge difference. Now here we have the crash manager ready. So what we're going to do, let us make a quick preview and see how the data is working and the query is executing or not. There you go. We have got the query. So it is returning the name, email, status, and the create date along with the crash title, the description, and the feature to which the crash has happened. So to reiterate why we are using joins and all, if you see the postico here, you have in the crash logs. Here you have only IDs and the user IDs and the crash IDs. And then with the crash IDs, we need to get the specific crash title and the description. And from the user ID, we are going to get the users. So that is where we would be needing the joins and all this stuff. You can do it more easily as well, but we are trying to explain you you can do all of this with inside ToolJet by writing Postgres SQL queries. There you go. Okay, now let me save this and then connect to this. But again, we wanted to run this on selecting a specific row. So to do that, you click on the component table and get into the event section again. We need to add another event, which is going to be row clicked. On every row I click, I wanted to execute a query, which is manager is a wrong spelling mistake. I'll correct this in a moment, but yeah. So you have manager crashes. So on specific click, if you're able to relate in this component, we have add an event. On row click, we wanted to run a query, and the query is the crashes query, which fetches the crashes of that specific user. Okay, so we are good with this, but we need to connect the table with the crashes report as well. So this is the dummy data. Let me replace this data with queries.manager crashes.data. Okay, so let us now quickly click on Henry and see what happens. There you go. We have got Henry's crashes report. We have got the title of the crash that he has occurred, out of memory, blank screen, and the description and to which feature it has happened. As we know, we would not need name, email, and status. Of course, we already know who he is in the sign up section. So we can actually remove this in the table, in the properties section. Click on this table 3, go to the properties, and you can remove by hitting this bin icon. Name, email, I don't need the status, of course, and created date can be in the last preference, of course. So we have the title, description, feature in the first place. So now if I click on Jasim, So it should show the crashes that Jassim has been going through at the time. Okay, so it is same for the other things as well. All right, so now we are done with the crashes part, and it's pretty straightforward, and I hope you will be able to relate how we will be able to get the feedback items. So that is where you should be able to get the feedback of the specific user as well. So go ahead, PostgreSQL, SQL mode, and then the code, sorry, the query. So this is the query that helps us to get the title, description uh, of the user. So this is not the right one, but I think I did not get the right one. Okay. There you go. Okay, so this will help us to get the fetch the title and description of the feedback of from the by making a inner join again on the table on the users and the feedbacks at a time with on a condition where the ID matches, right? So I can change this to manager hyphen what do you call that, feedback, maybe feedback. Okay, so let me create this. And then let us also make a quick preview on this so that we will be able to see how the data is coming up. So there are three. And as I said, this is a lorem ipsum text, and this is pretty much dummy, and you can change it to the real ones. There you go. We have it. Now let us quickly connect the tables on click as how we did for the crashes. Let us quickly do for this as well. If you have missed previously, eyes on how we do this. We click on the table, get into the properties, and remove this dummy data and connect this queries with the one which we created, feedback dot data. Okay, so now we should be able to do it on click so that we get into this table and go to its properties to add another event that helps us to run the query on every row clicked again. So on row clicked, we wanted to run a query, and the action is run query, so that the query is going to be manager feedback. Okay, so let me click on Joey and see if we get the feedback from Joey. There you go. So you have the data here. You have the signups, and then you click on the specific person. You should be able to see the crashes, and also you should be able to see their feedback items, what they have been sharing with us. And of course, the biggest part, we can able to change the statuses of this sign up. Maybe it's approved, rejected, waiting list, or anything that you choose to have it here. There you go. We are done with the manager part. It's a huge thing. And then you get into tables, you can actually make the style more look good. I'm kind of comfortable with the classic. So you can go for again styles and then get into the classic part of the table. Okay, I hope this is not that bad, but it's again, put more time, you get more beautiful. Not huge time, but yes. So you get into the manager is good. We are good with the whole things what we have right at this point, and then get into the crashes. Let us get the crashes from two tables. One is crash logs and the crash master. So let us actually pull everything and present it here with a SQL query again. Let's remove this table. We would be not using this. What we'll be using is a list view. So here it is in the layouts. You can drag and drop, pull it to the tab view. Okay, adjust this to the sides, to the bottom as well. And then, of course, we would be not having any images this time. Okay, okay. Let's remove these images. Instead, let us actually have a text area that actually shows us the title of the crash. Okay, so we will have a title, and then we will have a description, and then we will have the occurrences, the number of times this specific crash has occurred. So which means we would need another text field. Let's minimize this a bit. So now I'd go grab another text field and add it here, so that it will help us to show and see the number of occurrences that is coming from the database itself. Okay, so minimizing this a bit, adjusting this helps you a lot to save some time. So there you go. Let me title these quickly. These are going to be the title, Okay. Looks like I was holding some key, but let me make a quick refresh. So this will help you to get through you to different components here, but I think my browser got hanged. Okay, maybe it's my internet problem. I hope nothing is lost. So get into manager and see if we have the signups here. Oh yeah, we have things aligned, but yeah, we have the manage users, and in the advanced run this query on the page load, save it. Let's refresh one more time and get this going. I'm going to close this in a while, but let us get this in the manager. There you go. I think things are good. Click on Daniel and you should be able to see the crashes of Daniel and then their feedback. Of course, we are using post Elephant SQL, so it would take some time to get us the data, but I think the events are moved off. But yes, they are still exist. Yes, here you go. I'm closing this tab. We moved to a new place in the same browser. Okay, so here you go. Let's get into the crashes back to back, and I have the labels for the columns of this list. This is not expected. Is it something with my browser or with the component? Okay, one last try. Let's get into here and then we move into the crashes. Let's actually get the data first. I think things will settle down by the time by getting the data. So we have the text view here. This is going to be title, description, occurrences, and the button that helps us to move the data from here to the ClickUp board. Okay, so here you go. Let's have get the data. So how do you get that? Again, a SQL query. You have this here, and then once you are here, you should be able to get the data from the crashes manager, user crashes. But yeah. Okay, so this query will help us to get the title of the crash and the description with the count, which will help us to see the occurrences. We make the join to actually find it respective to the IDs, right? So we can just say it as crashes. And then once we click on the create, you should be able to create with the crashes, right? So let me make a quick preview so that we just see how the data is coming up along. So these are the crashes, the title, user, termination, and the other is a blank screen. Another, we have the out of memory. Okay, so let us actually populate this list view with the query that we created, which is crashes. So let's go ahead, remove this, and then say queries dot crashes dot data. We have got the data attached to here, but then crashes.data. Okay, so let me run this and then see if we can see any difference. There you go. Now, if you click on text file, the one which is here, let us populate this value, the actual value coming from the database. How do you do that? You can just use list item dot title. This will bring us the title and it gets updated automatically. So use the termination, blank screen, and out of memory. So similar to the list item dot description, you should be able to get the description and adjust this a bit when the text is long. Okay, so this is good enough to have the title description, and then this is where the count comes. You can have the list item dot count. Okay, so this will get us the count, and then this button is responsible for making this issue to the clickable. So how do you change? I'm going to title this as create ticket. Okay, so now we'll spend some time on just quickly putting this, making this button functional, which helps us to actually take the data from here and to send it to the clicker. So the clicker is here. So if you have to see this, this is the beta program space that I have created, in which there are two issues right at this point, which are, you can call this as items, of course. So you have these things in the list and the list items here. So now we are going to make this functional, this button, so that on click of this button, we're going to get this title and the description and put it as an item in the clicker board. All right. So once you have this ready, what we would be needing to make it functional is a query, but this time it's going to be a bit different. We are using a REST API here. So we are going to make a post request to an endpoint, which is the ClickUp's API endpoint. You can explore the documentation. It's pretty straightforward, but I would need to update the list ID of the ClickUp. So this is the ID of this ClickUp list. So this is the list ID. And now I go to my application and then update it accordingly here with the authorize. It would need an authorization key along. So I would be using this header. So the key is authorization, and the value is something you can get it from the ClickUp settings itself. So if you get into here and then go for what we call the settings, you should be able to landing up in some here or some other page. But possibly it's very straightforward to get the API token from the clipboard. Once you get that, you go to the query and then put the value for the key authorization with the thing, and then you can say create ticket as a button name. Oh, sorry, the query name. Okay, so now we need a body for this. We're gonna have a raw JSON body, which we will get from a different place. Okay, body is here. There you go. So we are getting. So this body consists a name, description, and assignees, and something which is very static here, but you can make it as comfortable for you. But yes, so let me create this and then assign these things specifically. So when on click of this button, that should be able to do. So how do you do that? You click on this button, and then you should be able to add a event listener on click. You should be able to run a query. So the query is going to be create ticket. Okay, so now you have this here. If once the moment I click on the out of memory, let me have a note on what are here. There is ToolJet test item and user termination here. Let me go ahead and go for the out of memory, and let me try clicking on the create ticket button. So I hope it created the item here by, let's make a refresh. So on refresh, I should be hopefully be able to see the third item. Okay, I think there is some issue with this. Let me quickly explore what's happening here. So we have an event for this button, which is going to run query, and that is create ticket. And the create ticket has a list ID, going to be a task, and the authorization with the body. And the body has the queries, crashes, data, component, the selected row, the list view. Yes, it is able to update here properly. You can able to see the preview that it has the user termination as the name, where in case we are trying to get this dynamically from the queries dot and crashes and all of that, right? Okay, and then possibly there could be some issue with this endpoint. Maybe let me quickly check that. Okay, so it is v2 hyphen list. Sorry. Okay, so this is going to be the ID. This is a post request, of course. Okay. Preview. I think it worked. Yes. Let me go ahead and refresh one more time. Oh, it is. Oh, it did work. Okay. It did work. We have this here already. I think we would have waited for a while, but here is the third item. Okay. So this will, now it is kind of pretty functional. You have this title, description, and the occurrences, and the button that helps you to move the item from here to the project management board. Right. So once you get into the crashes, feedback, and what is managed. Okay. I think this is the change. We have to put it to 3. Okay. So we have the feedback here. Okay. Let me try adding the labels to this if possible, if that works. Okay, it is working. So let me go ahead and title this as title. Okay, so I'm gonna make it a bit styling, make it too little bold so that it feels as it's a title. Here it is, making duplicates again to make it look easy and good. So description, and then we would need one for the occurrences. So drag and drop and add it to the next part, which is OCCUR. Ignore any typos. And then we would need one more for the last item, which is going to be the action. Okay, there you go. We have few things here. I think there is something is hiding here. Okay, let me try if I can delete from the inspector. Components, what ID is that? But anyhow, it's never bothered, but yeah, it's kind of hiding behind. Okay. So we are good with the crashes. We have a title, description, occurrences, and action. We made this button actionable with the ClickUp. And then the last part, going for the feedback. Let's go ahead, fill this directly with the table. Drag and drop the table. We'll make it pretty straightforward this time, because you should be, by this time, you should be pretty much aware what we're going to do. We're going to run a new query that will bring us the feedback from the database. Okay, so this query will actually making a join with the users and the feedback tables, and then bringing here. This will help us to bring the data from the database, and then we can name this as feedback directly. And then let's see if we can preview and see the data here. So yes, there is the data. You can see the dummy data coming up here in the JSON format. Let me create, and then now on this table, you can just directly remove this dummy data and attach this queries dot, what is that, feedback. Let me run this here. Click on the table data, queries dot feedback dot data. There you go. Okay, here we have the database data coming along, and then presenting the database values. There you go. We're good with the manager, crashes, and the feedbacks all at once. And now, yes, we are moving also away from the time bound, so making it limited. But I hope you should be able to build the dashboard yourself. So you know what to do. The dashboard consists of values of making some counts of the signups, and counting the approved signups, and counting the crashing items, and then the signups in the waiting list. And then you should be able to add these few things. You click on send invite, it's make a request that saves in the Postgres backend. Okay, so then again, you need to make some calculation here to see what is the highly occurred, but I hope you should be able to figure that out. Again, leaving the feedback to you. We are good with the manager and the crashes and the feedback. So that is where, to just to recap, we were able to build and see the usage of the PostgreSQL, fetching and populating the components, and then the bulk update thing, the kind of the favorite one, and then using of the run.js, ClickUp integration with the REST APIs, data source, table, list view, and we used a button too. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much what we have. And then let's jump into Q&A. All right. I'll be holding for a while to see any questions. Do we have any? I think we're good. If there is any other questions that are coming along, go ahead. As Shubhendra was mentioning in the chat, go for tooljet.com/Slack. You should be able to join us in the Slack, and it's open for all. You can get into the general section and ask anything that you are thinking about or anxious about that you want to build. We'll help you out, and it's quite interactive in the Slack, and you should always be able to find answers much sooner. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for being here so long, looking at the updates, releases, and what's cooking and what's coming along. And then the beta program manager application that we had built in an hour, close to, not really fully, but yes, we would be able to see different things, able to build different things with the data sources and then the components and quite a few with the logics of the queries to a different combinations. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next community call will be coming up in the December. All right. See you again. Bye-bye.